Hi! Recently, like a week ago, I made a video about checking out Music and Sound MC602 that I had been given by a customer, a viewer of this channel. And we did sort of a checkout video because the condition of it was, quote, unknown. It was a system that they had removed, and it turned out that it all worked perfectly. It needed some cleaning, and it'll need a little bit of work to spruce it up before something happens to it, what I don't know. But one of the downfalls of it was, and I think it's common for these models, is the plastic faceplate, this part here, is all yellowed. It's always hard to do this in a video because lighting and other things in the monitor you're looking at affect what everything looks like. But if you look carefully here, you can see that this upper part of the plastic chassis sort of the unit is fairly white, as is this bottom part, and this lower door here that flips open where the controls are is still pretty white, but this panel and all of these buttons are fairly yellowed. So I had an idea, because I actually have a couple of these now, because that's sort of what we do around here, is we collect things because we need samples and things to practice on. These are what I call educational units. Last week I was doing some re-whitening of some remote speaker grills for a customer, and I had some extra room in the light box one afternoon. Decided I would take a shot at re-whitening the faceplate of an MC350 to see what could be done with it, because I haven't done a lot of M&S stuff, and you got to try to learn. The end result of that was, and now you'll be able to maybe tell the difference, this is the original one that's somewhat yellowed, and here is the one that I re-whitened. And this is where comparing and contrasting always pays off, because you can see clearly this is a fairly nice white color and this is fairly yellowed. I didn't do the buttons because I didn't. I suppose I could have, but I can always do them later. The nice thing about this design is this just sort of pops off. And this unit's fairly dirty, hence all the lint on the inside of the grill. And then, not counting the button caps, because those would need to be done also, at least washed if nothing else, but certainly re-whitened. If we put this back on here like this, all of a sudden, the door on the bottom and the white top and bottom part of the chassis plastic all of a sudden doesn't seem all that differently white anymore, does it? It seems to match pretty well. This is basically dirty here. I think if I took this off and just cleaned it all, it would look a lot better. But all of a sudden, we've got a unit that looks much closer to brand new than it did when we started. If these button caps were re-whitened, which I think would be easy enough to do, that would certainly clean it up. One of the things that you might notice on here is some of the labeling here where it says up, and here where it says power, and here on the intercom buttons where you have room and then it's listen, talk, and door talk on the bottom. These are somewhat faded out. They're sort of ghosted somewhat. Part of what happens sometimes during the re-whitening process is buttons that get used a lot where you push it with your finger all the time. The oils from your finger and stuff get into the plastic and into the printing on the plastic, and sometimes during the re-whitening process it will make them fade out to some degree. There's nothing you can do about that. That's just inherent in the way the whole process works. As you can see, it's the buttons that actually would get used the most. It's the intercom, talk, listen, door talk buttons, because if you're using the intercom, you're pushing those with your finger, and volume up button, not sure why the volume down button, and power, because of course you'd use that to turn the radio on and off. Fortunately, they're not ghosted out enough that it's really a problem too much. You can still read it. And of course it would be better if it was darker, but what are you going to do? It's certainly better than a yellow faceplate, and as long as you can make out what the buttons are, that's usually good enough for most people. They're happy to have a white faceplate. So there is hope in the re-whitening of M&S faceplates, because as you can see, there's a real difference between an original one that's started to turn and a nice bright one. Makes it look much more modern, much more presentable. So I just thought I would share that a little bit. I hope you found this interesting, and maybe for someone it will be helpful. If it is, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube, because that helps us just a little bit. There'll be a banner right here that shows you how to subscribe. Go to our YouTube homepage, click on the bell, and when you click on the bell, click on it to receive all notifications. And every time we post a new video, you'll get a notification and you can watch it. That's all for today. See you on the next video.